Hi, everyone. I'm Teri.
And I'm Ella.
Welcome to the Chasing Red Flags podcast, Let's Get Real.
Here, no topic is off limits.
And real beats perfect every time.
Welcome to the conversation.
Welcome to where you belong.
You're part of the family now, so let's get real together. Hi, Mama. I miss your face.
I miss you too.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna just get out there and say this. My eyes are really blurry because I had my eyes dilated today. And they said that they would be totally fine this afternoon, and they're not. I'm still really blurry and having trouble seeing with light in my face and on the computer. So if I get teary-eyed, I'm not crying. I might cry this episode.
You might cry. I was going to say.
But it's probably because my eyes are dilated.
Okay. Well, before we dive in, we want to say thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate your support more than you know. Please subscribe to the Chasing Red Flags podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to yours. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch all of the episodes. All right, Mom, with the dilated eyes, would you like to start us off?
Today, we want to talk about healing after a breakup. You have shared a lot of information about your breakup, and we thought it would be a good idea to have a part 2 to talk about your healing and your journey since then.
I think we've gotten a lot of questions about how to heal and move on after a breakup. And at least what I've realized, and I think you have too, is that there are so many people that are struggling to move on after a relationship ends. And for a little while, I just thought it was only me.
It's not only you.
Yes.
We've heard from a bunch of people, but we also have heard of a bunch of parents, which has been interesting, about how they can help their kids heal, because we as parents are also a part of the process and don't want to watch our kids in pain. So before we dive in, that's what we're going to talk about today: healing after a breakup.
It's good. I just feel like, personally for me, Mom, I don't know how you feel, but I just feel like it's really important because everybody is going to experience a breakup at some point in their life, or most likely more than one breakup. But last season, as you know, I kind of shared a letter that I wrote about my last relationship, and we celebrated my 1-year breakup anniversary.
We did.
And it was awesome. And I think I realized that there is so much more to share about my healing process and my journey that I've gone through as I've established the me after him.
I love that.
And thank you. And I just know, Mom, like there's also like a lot of parts and like things from your perspective that we haven't shared. And I think that's going to really resonate with a lot of parents and will be very helpful.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So you mentioned in August that you celebrated your 1 year.
Yes.
And your breakup 1 year. So what was that experience like for you, Elle?
I mean, reading that letter and talking about it was definitely very hard for me to relive everything that I went through, and it felt like I was doing it all over again for a minute. But I will say that it was so incredibly therapeutic and healing at the same time. This relationship was almost 5 years of my life. That is a very long time, and there was a lot of love on my part.
There was, honey. There was.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you regret sharing?
No, I don't. I chose to leave out some personal details in order to protect him, and that wasn't easy, but I will say that I'm really proud of how I've shared my story. And
me too. Incredibly proud.
Thank you. Only because I know it wasn't just about the relationship, but this and me sharing my story, it's also about how it impacted my mental health and the way that I viewed myself.
Can you talk about some of the support you've gotten since the episode aired? Because I think that's important to mention.
Yes, it's been incredible, like absolutely incredible. I feel like being able to share my story, not only to heal for me, but also knowing that I'm helping others who are going through similar situations and feel the same way as me or felt the same way as me, it just means a lot. And I just know a lot of people have shared their stories with me and reached out for advice, and it really feels good to know that I'm making a difference.
You are making a difference. Sadly, lots of people have gone through the same thing, not the exact same thing, but are going through a breakup. And they're suffering and they're sad and they're going through it. That's what we like to say, right? So can you share some of the questions that people have asked you and some of the answers you provided them, because I think that would be important for other people to hear that might have some of those questions and haven't reached out.
Yes. So first up, I want to say for those of you who haven't listened to the first episode about breakups yet, we had Dr. Nay, who is the Wolf of Wall Street's ex-wife, on the podcast, and she kind of shared her story about her marriage and the toxic relationship that she had. But one of the key topics that we talked about throughout the entire episode when we were interviewing her was the question, why did you stay? And even after the episode, I was literally still getting questions and responses saying, why did you stay? And all of those questions on social media and responses to the posts that we were posting.
Which, is a question that I really dislike. The why did you
Yes.
stay question is one that kills me.
No, I
And
know.
yes, you got a lot. And
Yes.
I got a lot of questions and a lot of judgment. So, how did you respond to that?
I mean, when anyone would say that, I would start by saying, like, he was my first love and he was my best
And he
friend.
was.
And there were of course, and there were so many good times over the years. But then I say that I was a little bit delusional and easily manipulated because I was the person that believed the version of him that he created for me, not realizing that he just knew exactly what to say.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
And there
Mhm.
definitely were good times.
Yes.
And you were definitely manipulated and a little delusional, but aren't we all? Right?
Yes.
And you're figuring out now as a young adult what you want and don't want, and how to recognize some of those signs that you may have missed or may have chosen to overlook. I remember one day we were watching Dr. Ramani on the Today Show. She's an expert on narcissistic relationships, and she was talking about something called future faking, right? Which is
Yes.
when someone makes promises to you to keep you, what she says, on the hook
Yeah.
to get what they want. And it was like a light bulb went off in you.
Oh, yes, that was exactly it. She was literally describing, like, my life. So, basically, future faking is when somebody is exaggerating their feelings to get what they want in that specific moment, and examples are, like, promising to change or saying, "I'll never do it again," or "Just give me more time, I'll be different," and it's all about getting another chance without there being a real intention behind it.
And nothing ever changes, and everything
No.
stays the same. And then it keeps
Yes.
you on the hook for months because you're like, oh, he's going to change. Oh, he's promising to do this. Oh, he's promising
No.
to do that. Right.
No. So, for anyone that is listening and hasn't heard future faking, that's what it is, and it's something that you should definitely be aware of.
Yes. And in
Yes.
addition to that, we had Dr. Nay on,
Yes.
and her advice was incredibly helpful.
Yes.
What was your favorite part of having Dr. Nay on? I have a million things that were my favorite parts, but
I mean, I could list like 20. I would say probably the main thing though, when I said this to you after like we finished the episode and like got off of Zoom with her or
yeah,
whatever, but she was very
she
validating.
was.
And that felt really good. She was able to explain what a trauma bond is and what healthy love should look like in a very simple and clear way. And it was really nice to
And
hear.
I think a lot of people listening would say, well, I know what healthy love looks like. But when you're
Yes.
young and you're in love and you have that dopamine, which is what she talked about, dopamine,
Dopamine.
sorry.
Dopamine.
I say it wrong. Okay.
Dopamine. Yes, it's that serotonin and the happiness.
I don't always pronounce everything right. You know me.
It's fine. I was just correcting you so you knew it was
Thank
the
you
wrong
for
way.
correcting me. I'm
You're
not
welcome.
perfect.
It's okay, Mom. Nobody's
Okay.
perfect. We know that.
So a light bulb moment went off for you. What
Yes.
was that light bulb
Um,
moment?
yes. Okay, so she mentioned that Jordan, her ex-husband, Wolf of Wall Street, would just stare out the window while she was talking like he just wasn't interested at all. And that is the moment when the light bulb went off for me. I realized looking back at my relationship that I was so invested in what my ex said and told me. If he had a fight with his mom, if he was having trouble at school, if he had a bad game, I would always be the one that is following up and checking in. But when Dr. Nay said that, it really made me think about how little interest he had in my life. And when I was drugged, there was never a follow up. We never talked about it again. And really looking back, it was always all about
I
him.
I
And
think
I allowed that to happen. I allowed that to happen. And that's on
right.
me. But,
And you figured out how to take responsibility for that in therapy, but I
yes,
do
I'm still working
yes,
on
but I
it.
do also think at the time, you didn't notice that much. There were times that you did and times you didn't because
Yeah.
you were such a caretaker, right? And you were always,
Yes. I'm always a
yes,
caretaker.
concerned with what he was doing. And I think for anyone listening, when you take that role in the relationship, you often forget that you need that too. And I think there
Yeah.
were a lot of incredible moments where he was really there for you in that day and in that moment. But the issue was there was never any follow up. And like you said, just not even about the drugging, but lots of things like I was sick.
Even little things, or I had a sad day today. He'd say, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And then 3 hours
Right.
later, I played horrible in my hockey game and there would be nothing about
Right.
me.
Or I
So,
got sick. Right. And you told him that you're upset about me. And then
yep.
he never brought it up again. Like, how's your mom
Or the day
feeling?
after, like, how are
How was
you
her
doing with your
surgery?
mom?
Right.
Like, yep,
So I
how was
think
it?
people just need to like pay a little more attention to that. And when you're a
It
caretaker,
goes a long
it does.
way. Having somebody ask those little things about you just makes you feel like they actually care and want to know you.
So, is there any advice that you would give a high school or college or even young adult right now? I know this is a generalized question, but someone that's really confused.
Well, that's a very generalized
Sorry.
question. No, but I would say for any relationship and anybody that's confused or just in general, I think it's really important to be paying attention to how interested somebody is in what matters to you, not necessarily just what's important to
I think
them.
that's great
Hence
advice
my
in any
yes.
relationship, romantic or friendship.
Yes. Well, I think that the support you give them should absolutely be returned and that you're not necessarily responsible for somebody else's happiness. And that's very important to remember.
Right.
I think also this is a big thing. You taught me this. I love to give you the credit when you
I
teach me
love getting
things.
credit.
Yes, but saying things out loud or writing them down or reading them back to yourself, I think that that's really important, especially if you don't have somebody necessarily that you trust to talk to about these very personal, deep like thoughts that you're having. But tell it to a mirror, read it back to yourself, and listen as if it were a friend telling you, because I feel like when you hear things out loud, you can process
A
it
hundred
differently.
percent. We always talk about that. So
Yeah.
that's great. And I love that you're giving that
Yeah.
advice. Back to some of the social media responses. You also got a lot of questions from other women who have been cheated on. And they asked you, how do you forgive someone after being cheated on? And if they should forgive the person that they're with, which
Yeah.
again is a very personalized answer, but you did get a lot of them. So I think it is something you should talk about now a little bit and respond to.
That's a hard one. Like, obviously, I just feel like there are a lot of people out there that have been cheated on and wondering what to do and if you should forgive them. And I want to just say that I do think it's incredibly upsetting how normalized getting cheated on has become because it's not something that should be at all.
No,
It's incredibly disrespectful and it really can take a toll on your mental health and the way you look at yourself. And it affects you a lot more than people would think.
don't even get me started on this topic.
I know.
So we went out to dinner. I did not tell you this story yet. So this is definitely the first time you're hearing it.
Well, I know
We haven't really
like,
caught up a
he's
lot.
not home.
So I
Yeah.
went out to dinner with another couple and dad last weekend, and the subject of cheating came up. And this couple has a house full of boys, and we
Okay.
were talking about cheating. And the mom and the dad both agreed that cheating only makes a difference when you're married. It was a real boys will be boys attitude. And can you imagine your mom sitting at
Okay,
the
first of
table?
all, let me just say, like, I know the boys will be boys, especially boys will be boys in quotes specifically is a trigger for
Huge
you
trigger.
and me. Did you throw your food at them? Did you walk out? Did you yell at them? Like, obviously, I know you had to say something back.
You're going to be very proud of me. I thought in the moment that they really truly believed that, and I wasn't going to challenge their beliefs. So I sat in it. I said, I completely disagree with you. I don't think you have a child that's been cheated on. So I think I think that is part of the
Mm,
problem is that when you haven't had a child go through it, whether it's a guy cheating on a girl cheating on a guy, a girl cheating on a girl, it doesn't matter. When you
yeah.
haven't had someone suffer through that, you don't get it as much. And I don't know if, fighting with them about.
No, but that was good. Because when a parent doesn't know, it's like, I mean, especially when their kid hasn't been through it. I mean, it was hard for me to confide in my friends. That's why I always talk to you about things. I mean, I didn't necessarily confide in you about it when it happened right away, but I just think you've had more experience in life, so you'd understand it more than my friends who are my age who've never either been in a relationship or been cheated on
I
at all.
think the problem with that kind of attitude and the boys will be boys attitude and it's just cheating and they're young is that they don't realize their reaction is part of the problem. I think that cheaters don't always realize the impact that they have on someone else. And
Yeah.
that's what people are missing is that
Yes.
because they're only thinking about themselves. They don't realize the long-term impact that their actions have on someone else. Look at you and look how you felt about yourself after. I think it's our job as parents to teach our kids how to be accountable for their actions. That's our job.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
it doesn't matter what age you are.
No, not at all. And I just know from experience, I can say that being cheated on really does affect your self esteem, your sense of self worth, and I mean, your ability to trust others. Like, I still have trust issues and I probably will for the rest of my life, but it really is a huge betrayal of trust and it affects you a lot more than people think.
Listen, betrayal trauma is a real thing, and a lot of people don't understand that, right?
Yes. Yes.
But since we're talking about healing, it's important to point out that the people that do the cheating don't often reflect on their actions, right? And the
No.
people cheated on often do. So the cheaters just move on, and the ones being cheated on are often the ones that reflect and get help.
Yeah. But then the cycle just continues
Exactly.
and nothing
So
changes.
again,
So.
what do you say to someone that asked you that question? How do you respond?
Listen, as people can tell by listening to us talk, we are very brutally honest. So I'm going to be straight up here. And I know it's probably going to be hard for some people to hear. You said it to me. I sat there and I cried, and it was really hard to hear. But I'm going to
Okay,
say
let's
it.
go.
If somebody is cheating on you or cheats on you, they do not have respect for you and they don't value who you are. They are showing you they are not loyal, they are not trustworthy, and they lack integrity. And you can truly give them everything. I tried, I did, I gave. Like, you can give your love, you can give your support, you can give your care, you can give every single part of yourself. But if they cheat, they see you as somebody that is replaceable in their life. Sorry.
No.
Had to say it though. It's very, like, I'm passionate about it because I didn't realize it, but now I see that and it just still makes me like, oh,
Listen, it's my broken glass theory. It's my favorite
yes.
theory. You drop a glass on the ground. Everyone think about this. Visualize it. You drop a glass on the ground. The glass breaks into tons of pieces. You can put that glass back together. You can glue, you can super glue. There's cool things you can do now. You put the glass back together,
Mhm.
but you can still see the cracks.
Yes.
That's
Always.
my broken glass theory.
Yes. And I just think,
The cracks will always
bottom
be there.
line, the cracks will always be there, but bottom line is that if you don't trust that they are going to follow through on what they say or who they are and what they tell you they're going to be, that relationship is broken.
And
And
again,
the
that
lack
goes
of,
for friendships and
oh,
romantic relationships.
absolutely. And
Trust is
that lack of
trust.
trust can, trust is trust, but that lack of trust can turn you into a version of yourself that you don't even recognize or like. And in multiple different situations, relationships and friendships, I didn't like who I became as a person, and it wasn't who I wanted to be, and it is certainly not who I am now.
No, it's not. It's definitely not who you are now.
Yes.
Since we're all about accepting people's flaws and forgiveness here at Chasing Red Flags, when do you think you should give someone another chance?
I think you should give somebody another chance when what they did is not in line with their character and isn't who they are at their core. I
That
know.
was
I really have been getting some good lines from you, Mom, I'm not gonna lie.
I love when you
Like,
repeat
come
my
on.
advice back to me.
It's just I know, but it's taken me a very long time to learn, and I will give myself a little credit, but, like, I'm proud of myself for getting to a place where I realized that, but I want to now emphasize it to other
I love
people.
that. I think there's
So,
also something that we should mention. I
yes.
think that you did not mention this yet, but you also had some girls that were involved
Oh,
in, and you know, it goes along with your girls theory, your girls mentality.
I know what you're gonna say.
Um, you both times you were cheated on, you wouldn't have found out without the information from girls that you did not know. They reached out to you, they gave you information, and in a way, it was kind of healing for you, which is a little bit weird.
Yes, so as awful as it was to get the DMs and pictures from these other girls, I will forever be grateful for them for telling me because he would have never told me. And Mom, like, I literally would have never known. I would have never known
No,
without them.
never. So, what would you
No.
say to another girl who's sitting there right now and she knows something and she's like, do I send the DM? Because that's a hard thing for girls. Like, do I want to ruin someone else's life? Do I want to get involved? Do I send the DM?
Listen, this might be a hot take, and I can see all the negative areas of how you wouldn't want to be sending that text. But I do think if you are wondering if you should send that DM to another girl, yes, send it. As long as you have proof, but send it.
I'm with you on the proof. I feel like if you're going to
Yes,
break
the
somebody
proof.
else's heart, and you know you are by sending that, no
Yes,
one wants that text. Then make sure you have the proof so that if they are defensive or worried, or you don't want to believe that that happened.
oh, I
If you're going to
didn't.
do
I
it,
didn't want to
which I
believe it.
agree, it's something you should do. Have
Yes.
proof.
I didn't want to believe it. I was so upset, but I will stand by this. I just can't understand the girls that are getting mad at other girls for trying to help them. Unless the girl specifically knew that this boy had a girlfriend and still did it and is like that kind of like she's clearly not a girl's girl, like it's not their fault. They genuinely found out this information and they are doing this out of respect for this
Right.
girlfriend. And I just, it wasn't their fault for
No,
telling
in fact,
me.
they were both like the kindest girls ever. So
And what happened after I found out was on me. So I really just, I thank them
you
forever.
chose to stay.
I did.
Okay, it's taken a lot of
Yeah.
healing to get to this point. How does it feel now that it's all out in the open?
Honestly, it feels a lot better. I will say I mean, you know this, so I'm not even gonna like I just used to be really hard on myself. I just looked at myself and not necessarily the most positive light, and I just kept everything inside, and it was just very emotionally exhausting for me, but it feels really good to just not be ashamed or embarrassed anymore because I'm just better than
You
that.
are, and you're doing incredible, and you've
Thank
learned
you.
amazing lessons. And now we're
Yes.
trying to help others.
It is. And I mean, I just want to say to anyone who's trying to heal and move on, it really gets easier when you stop trying so hard to see the good in somebody who's been destroying the good in you. I mean, I could continue, but I know you'll probably have a thought on that.
I
So,
mean, we have a habit in this house of making excuses and seeing the little ounce of good in people.
yes, that is a big habit for our family, but we're working on it. And it's work in progress. It's fine. But I know that I gotta turn it on you for a second, but I do know a lot of moms have reached out to
Yes.
you because seeing their kid heartbroken is
Horrible.
horrible and they don't know what to do. So, can you kind of explain what that's been like for you?
This has been a healing process for me too. You know, it's a struggle. And I've had to watch you go through this 3 times. So this is not your first
I
year of
know.
healing, right? This is the longest time that you've been going through healing and you've really moved on. But
Yes.
this has been a lot, and it's for a lot on a lot of parents. For me personally, the hardest part of everything has been the way you saw yourself through this. And I think
Hmm.
that's what parents are struggling with, at least the ones that are reaching out to me, is that their daughters, their sons are starting to look badly upon themselves, right? Why am I not enough? if I did this differently. And I think that's the struggle.
You
So
took the words out of my mouth.
I would tell, what did you say?
I said you took the words out of my
Oh,
mouth. That's what I used to, and I don't mean to
no,
interrupt and you
interrupt
can
me.
continue after, but I used to sit there and say, what did I do
Yeah,
wrong? What could I have done differently if I had acted this way, or if I had not gotten mad about this specific incident? Maybe he wouldn't have ended things or cheated or didn't look for something
exactly.
else.
And now you know this was never about you. And I
No,
think everyone
never.
needs to hear that. And I think it's
Yes,
very easy to be hard on yourself. So I tell parents to validate their feelings, even if you don't understand them, to be patient. And I think the biggest thing is you can't put a timetable on it. Like there's moms that call me and they're like, well, she should be over it by now. And I say, I know. And I'm like, just breathe. It takes
one of the
long.
worst things
It
you can
is.
say
It is.
too.
Don't say that. Don't say you should be over it by now. Don't put time frames on it. They will get over it. They will move
Yes.
on. They will heal. They will get better, but you need to just be a support system.
Yeah. Even if you don't fully understand what we're going through, it's just sometimes we need our parents or parental figures to be a support system and not necessarily be like the devil negative on the shoulder, but more just the like, I'm here for you. What do you need
Right.
from me? And I know, like, I used to be really hard on myself during this process. Again, like asking all of those questions about if I could be doing something different. But I do think for anybody listening, please try not to do
Right.
that. It was probably one of the worst things I did. And I stored all of this pain and stress and humiliation from everything. And it took a really long time to work through. And I just don't want anyone else to have to experience that if they don't have
So
to.
would your
And maybe
advice
your
be
mindset could
just
be
sit in
different.
it?
I don't know. I mean, I have a bunch of
Okay.
advice. I would
Throw it out
say,
there.
okay, so I would say, listen, if you need to sit in it, you can sit in it, but like don't romanticize the relationship. That's my biggest thing. You can't make it into something better than
You
it
definitely
was, which
did
I
that.
tried to do.
Yes.
Oh, I was like, absolutely. I was only thinking of the best things, but like I know what people like know what I'm talking about. Like we tend to do that after a
Yep.
breakup. We're thinking about the good times, or we're looking through all the selfies and the pictures and the texts, and we skip all the bad texts and all the fights, and we just look at the good ones of like the I loves yous and I can't live without you and you're my wife. But like, don't do that. Like, that's one of my biggest pieces of advice is don't romanticize.
Okay.
And second, and I hate to say it, and people don't agree with me, and it might be a hot take, I don't know. Going no contact is very important. I think you need the space to be able to move on and be by yourself without getting sucked into all of the old patterns of that relationship.
Really great advice, actually, Ella. Both of
Thank you.
those.
Oh, wait, I'm not
Okay.
done.
Okay.
I mean, if you have more, you
No,
can
no, no. Go
continue, but
ahead.
I'm not
This is
done.
about healing.
Okay.
So if you're helping people,
Yep, that's about me,
have at
sorry.
it.
I mean, no, it's about you too. You have your healing process. But I just think again, very hot take, very personal, but these are my personal
Yep.
experiences, so this is what I'm
Yep.
sharing. But I don't necessarily think it's the best idea to jump right back into the dating and hookup scene right away. No matter how much you think it will help, trust me, it won't. It's more of a distraction than anything. And I don't know. That's one of my pieces of advice. And final, okay, actually not final, but don't use drinking. And everyone can go listen to some other stories. One of the college episodes, I used drinking as an escape one night. And I just feel like you're numbing your pain and you will feel worse the next day.
Yes. Also, very true and great advice. So I
Thank you.
think everything you're saying is going to be super helpful.
Yeah. All right, last one, I swear, and then
No,
like
it's good. This
you
is
can go.
what we're here
Okay.
to do. Help people
I
heal.
think this is specifically for like the cheating wise, but like if they cheated on you or were with somebody right after the breakup, block them, like the girl, the new, like if they're with somebody
Block the new
new,
girl.
like don't
I've never
stalk the
heard
new
that
girl
before. Hold on.
or girls. If there's multiple girls and you've heard about multiple, block them out. Like you don't want to look at that. You don't want to go on Instagram. We all do it. We all look. We all wonder what they had that we didn't. And I just think comparing yourself to somebody else and somebody that they're with now is only going to deepen the pain, and you don't know what they're going through and why they're doing this. But it's never about the person they cheated with or who they're with right after. It is about who they are as a person. It's an internal problem. Like they've got some stuff going on.
Wise words from Ella McDuff.
Sorry, I know that was aggressive, but
No, that's great advice, Ella, on so many different
yes.
levels.
Well, I will say you should be proud that all the money you've spent on therapy is paying
Yes.
off. So,
Yes.
but let's be honest here. As much as it was really hard on me, this breakup was incredibly hard on you too.
Weirdly, it was a loss for me too. I've talked to a lot of parents about this, a lot of parents. And when someone spends that much time with your family and is immersed in your life so much, you love them.
Yeah.
And at least I loved them. That's the way I felt. I loved him. So I think that for parents that I'm talking to that have that guilt that they care about the person and they, that hurt their child, you cared about them too. I'm not the kind of mom that waits till there's a ring on your finger to become attached to someone. And I do know that there's a lot of moms that feel that way because I've spoken to them. I don't want to get involved. I don't want they do their own thing. I don't need to be attached to them. We don't need to have dinners. That's just not the way we work in our family. And everybody
Yeah.
does it differently and I have no judgment. Maybe it's easier that way. Who knows? It's just not the way we've done it.
I love that everybody we care about becomes a part of this
Yes,
family.
your
So,
friends, your relationship, anything, in our lives.
everyone.
That's. Okay,
Yeah.
so now as we dive deeper into the healing process, you have a phrase that you say all the time. Can you say it
Yes.
and explain it?
Okay. Well, I like to say just because I carry it well doesn't mean it isn't heavy.
That's really true. It is. And the lesson there is that if you look on the outside, you don't necessarily know how much someone is struggling on the inside. And we
Yeah.
talk about that a lot. You need to look a little deeper. And if I'm being really honest with you, like looking at you, like I didn't look that much deeper. I needed to look much deeper than I did.
You did it. Mom, you did everything you could. I just think
You kept a lot
it's really
inside.
I kept a lot in, but I just think it's really important, like, it needs to be normalized that healing isn't something that is you're just gonna get over in a few days or move on from. You don't just forget about it or never get triggered again by certain things. Healing isn't
It
linear.
wouldn't be normal to block out almost 5 years of your life like it didn't happen. And
No,
there's people that can do that possibly, but I don't think they're really doing that.
good for them, but I just don't think that's necessarily healthy at all. I don't know. I just think for anyone who's getting angry at themselves for remembering a good memory or getting triggered by a song or feeling guilty for not leaving sooner, just please know that like it's okay because that's all part of the healing process. You have to go through those feelings to move on and accept that you are okay.
This is what I would say for someone that if you think someone has moved on so easily, just take a moment and think about this. Just because someone moves on really quickly, and people do, does not mean they're
Yes.
healed and does not mean they're doing better than you. I think everyone needs to just focus on their own journey, which I know is easier said than done, and not so much worry about how fast or not fast the other person is moving on.
I mean, a lot easier said than done, mom, but I do think it's something in this round of my breakup that I really did focus on, and it was very
I'm
beneficial.
also a big believer in changing your environment.
Oh,
So making a
yes.
change to where you spend time together and the most time you spend together. I'm not talking about like throwing out jewelry and cards and all of that stuff. You can put all that away. I'm talking about making big changes to the places that you spend a lot of time together.
Yes. I mean, we made a lot of big changes, and for me, that was very helpful, and you really like pushed me to do that. But I don't know. For some of you who don't know, I got broken up with 3 times by the same person in the same basement on the same couch, all 3 times. So it was very, very, very necessary, and definitely time for a
And a
makeover
new couch.
and a new
So
couch.
we gave the couch to some college kids, got rid of it,
Yes.
redid the
Mm-hmm.
basement, repainted, did a lot
Yep.
of work to, change colors, change the environment.
got rid of the ping pong table, turned it into a lounge. We got like a new couch. It's just like it was all very ready. But I truly hope that this couch brings all of these college kids a lot better karma than it brought me.
Me too. It's funny because I was actually thinking about this. It's funny how people are like, "Oh, you do things that your parents did," and I'm like, "No, I'm so
Yeah.
different than my mom." But
Oh, I'm not at all.
I'm
You're not
not,
like
and,
Gaga,
I
sure.
am in a lot of ways, but I'm also not in a
Oh
lot of
yes,
ways.
you remind me so much of each other. You don't see it, but like mother, like
Well,
daughter.
after I got broken up with 2 years after college, I had my horrible
Okay.
breakup.
Mm-hmm.
Gaga, which is what I call my mom, or you call my mom, came into my apartment and painted the entire apartment pink because she thought it was a happy color without asking me. Without asking me.
Okay, so first of all, I'm really, really confused how that story has never been told to me before. Second of all, you are not a pink girl. I'm surprised you're even wearing a purple tank top
I
right
know,
now.
right?
So, did you freak out?
What do you think? I was not
I
ha
mean, I would
I was not
assume.
happy with the color pink. I knew how thoughtful it was. I knew she spent so much time on it. I was gone all
Like
day.
designing,
Yeah, I mean, it was
obviously.
definitely a lot of work on her part, and I got that the message was, like, she wanted to create a new environment, which is literally what I just did.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I love it. I love that you created this new space. I love it now for me. And I do my advice for anybody that wants to like kind of move on and kind of get rid of all of those, not get rid of the memories, but store them away somewhere. Change your space, especially if you're struggling, make these new memories.
even, like,
And
simple stuff, you don't have to redo a whole basement, get a new
absolutely,
comforter,
no,
right? Um,
change the sheets. I don't know. Something so simple can make you just feel like you're starting anew,
yes,
you know?
yes.
Since you did bring it up though, and I am
Oh, here
sorry,
goes.
but we have to talk about healing. And I would really appreciate, since I've shared a little bit of mine, if you could share your big breakup story that happened after
I mean,
college.
it was bad. It was devastating. I was in a relationship for a couple years in college, and then we moved to Boston together. I had a full time job, and he went to law school, and we decided at the time that we were going to live together because it just made sense for us at the time, and it was bad.
I mean, let me just say, didn't Gaga say something about never living with somebody
Yes,
before
yes,
marriage, or especially like not living with him before
yes. At the
marriage?
time, she used to say to
The
me, ready
traditional
for the saying?
ways.
Why buy the cow when you can have the milk for free? It's like a
Sorry,
really
Gaga saying that makes so much sense.
generationally old school saying. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so basically, you guys were living together, and according to Gaga and her saying, he was getting all of the milk without paying for the cow.
Yes, exactly.
So clearly, she had a point.
Clearly, she had a point.
And you lived with him for what? Two and a half,
I
3 years
lived with
after
him after
college? I don't
college
remember.
for about 2.5 years, and I came
Okay.
home one day after work. It was on a Monday. I'll
Yes.
never, ever forget this, and the entire apartment was empty. I mean, my bed was there, the bed was there, and my clothes were there, and some of the furniture that I had purchased was there, but all of his belongings were gone. Everything of his was gone. He had a moving company, I later found out, come and move all of his stuff out while I was at work that day, and I was completely blindsided. I had no idea it was coming.
And not even
It was
imagine.
a really
I really can't even
it
imagine,
was a
mom.
really hard time for me.
And I don't mean to be
No,
smiling, but
I
like the thought of it,
I know.
like the fact that somebody could do that and not like have contact or explain or like any, like it just, oh, I'm
We
sorry.
had just gone to a wedding on that Saturday night before, so this was 2 days later, and we were dancing and smiling because, of course, I saw the video after I wanted to look at it all the time, and
Mhm.
everyone was like, "You guys are next," and it was like that timing where everyone was getting engaged and married, and I
Yeah.
literally thought that I was gonna marry him.
Well, like low key, would that have freaked him out maybe? Or do you think this was probably planned before? I
I
don't
can't
know.
imagine that he hired a mover on Sunday and the mover came on Monday. So
Okay.
I would say that I don't know. I don't have the answer to that because we never spoke again. After all of that time together and all those years in our lives being completely intertwined, he was just gone.
And that's crazy to me.
Yes,
But listen, me being positive, or not always, but I'm trying to be positive, I will say ended up being the best thing that ever happened to you, as much as there was so much pain because you met
I
dad.
did. And literally, thank God, because looking back, what I know now, he wasn't the right person for me. Right. So
Yeah.
these moments that you have for anyone listening that's healing or struggling, you're going to one day, I swear, and I know everyone says it, you will look back and understand why everything happened the way they did. So for
It sounds so
it does.
stereotypical though. Like
It does.
it's not like
But you can
no.
even say that now, and you're not,
A
you're not
year.
married with
A year
kids,
and a few
right?
months. Yeah.
So I think that I would just say for anyone struggling to heal right now, I just want to say this, and this is going to come off tough. Sorry, I do that. For anyone, okay, for if someone could sleep next to you, have sex with you, and literally pretend everything's fine, and then completely blindside you and never speak to you again, that says everything about their character. Everything.
Hmm. I wish I had something else to say, but I really do feel like it just says everything about who they are as a person.
Yeah.
And
So,
that's not worth your time, especially if somebody treats you like
right.
that.
So I was a mess
Um,
for a really long
yes.
time.
Well, I was gonna say you can continue to talk, but I want to know, like, I've talked about some ways that I've healed, but like, how did you heal after
Oh,
this?
I was a mess. I went the partying, running away route. I did not go the therapy
Oh,
route, and I do not
okay,
recommend it. I
interesting.
do not recommend it. I went right into the I'm out every night. I'm drinking a lot. I'm partying.
Mhm.
So not the way to go, in my opinion. All the advice you gave today, much healthier and better. But I had an incredible support system. I would wake up every morning and I would call my brother and I would cry to him and talk to him all the entire way to work. And then on the way after work every single day, I would call my best friend Tracy, and they tag teamed me. And I also had just a
No,
lot of other.
that sounds
Oh,
so
did that
bad.
sound bad? Sorry. I meant that they both helped me out. The one would talk to me in the morning, one would talk to me in the afternoon. Stop having a dirty mind. Stop it. Stop it. Stop having a dirty mind. Anyway, I had this incredible support system.
I'm sorry.
Seriously?
Okay.
Moving along.
But you did eventually go to therapy,
I
didn't
did
you?
go to
You said you
therapy.
take the route. You had like a year or two of just like doing what you did, but you eventually chose to go to therapy
Yes, but I
yourself.
didn't have a year or two. It was probably like 8 or 9 months, and
Okay, I
then
don't know.
I was still not in a great place. So I went to therapy, and like you, I did a lot of self-reflection because you have to look at yourself. After a
Yeah.
traumatic event, and for those who are listening and being blindsided like that is a traumatic event. So after something like that happens, it's important to think about the role that you played in it, which is very hard to do.
Yes. Um, I mean, you said this as a parent, and I know we're talking about your relationship, but like when there are things that happen to me, sometimes you had said this when we were like really opening up and sitting, and I used to just talk and cry to you. Like it triggers you, like it triggers something in you, even though you like want to separate the experiences, you feel all of the
Yes.
trauma and pain that you felt from your breakup when I was going through
Yes.
mine.
So when you were going through yours, and it is very hard not to think about, and it was 30 years ago, not to think
Yeah.
about the pain that I was going through. So you're going through the same
Yes.
thing in your relationship, and it triggered that kind of pain that I felt back then 30 years later. That was a good therapy session for me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Well, okay. Have there been like moments? I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but have there been moments where you felt conflicted as like a parent since my breakup and since everything happened?
Oh, let me think. That's actually a good one.
Well, because we talk about like, I don't know, I know how you felt and like how you felt seeing me that way, but sometimes you keep things to yourself in order to like let me heal my like on my
Yeah. I mean,
own.
I
But
think
have
that
you
there
felt
were
conflicted and wanted to say
right. I think there
things?
were a few times that I was conflicted, to be honest. Um, I can remember after your second breakup, you were completely heartbroken. And 5 days after, he had a huge rager party at his house.
Oh, I remember. I
It was a
remember.
horrible night.
Yeah. I mean, I got so many texts and videos telling me about what he did with other girls that night and just like everything that
And it was
happened.
and it
And
was a horrible night for you, but if I'm being honest about that night, it was actually a really hard parenting night for me because
okay, but you had to give me medicine to calm me down and sleep. So it was really
yeah, it
bad.
was it was a tough night. And in the middle of the night, after comforting you all night and getting you to sleep and
Yep.
laying with you, I got a text from him in the middle of the night.
And you opened it, which I was dead asleep. My medicine knocked me out, but I don't know why you
I'm
opened
going to
that,
tell you why
Mom.
actually. And I don't think I've ever
I
like
don't get it. I don't
gone
get it.
into it with you. This was a
No.
kid that was part of our lives for a really long time. And I thought something incredibly serious must have happened for him to reach out to me after everything that he had just done to you.
And it was what, like 5 or 6 days
It
after?
was like 5 or 6 days after. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he actually was texting me to ask me. It's actually laughable. I can't. It's like,
Well, no, wait.
sorry, go ahead.
He was texting to ask you if you had the name of a plumber because somebody broke his sink at the party that he threw.
Yes. He needed the name of a plumber. Um, and if I'm being honest, like even now, it like part of me gets so angry thinking about it.
Yes.
Um, as you know, I did not tell you that night. There was no reason to tell you. I actually didn't tell you. I don't even think I told you for a couple of years. But I've thought about that moment a lot. And as an adult, I made the decision that I felt was right for me. To me, he seemed on text like he was a panicked kid that was going to get in trouble. And as an adult, I felt like I couldn't ignore it and not help him.
Okay, but like now you realize how absurd and self-centered it was for him to reach out that
To
night.
me,
Like to
there's a
you,
million people.
out of all
Yes.
people.
Yes, I do. It's
Yeah.
actually laughable that I was on the
Yes.
list of people that he felt like he should reach out to that night.
I just feel like he knew that you would never not help him. Just like me, because that's like it just runs in our veins. You always came to his rescue, and he was a very big taker, and we are very big givers.
That would be a really good podcast episode. Can a
Takers and
giver
givers.
be with a taker? We don't have to get into it now, but I'm going to think about that one. That's a good one.
Okay, well, like you and Dad are both givers. I
We are
would
both
say.
givers. Yes.
I don't know. Right now, I'm done with takers. I want a giver.
Good.
So
Good. So now that it's
yeah.
been a year and you've healed and moved on, are there any stories that you can think of that you were really mad about then, but now that you're in a good place that you can laugh about now?
I think you know what I'm gonna say, and I feel like I've been waiting a really long time. This is just a crazy story and iconic and just makes so much sense for this relationship and what had happened. But after the third and final breakup, I was in college, and about 8 weeks after he broke up with me for like that final time, I got a notification that someone had logged into my Hulu
We
account.
both got the
It
notification.
we both got it. We got the
Yes.
email, but it was him because it said your Hulu account has been logged into from an Xbox and it listed the city and the state of his college. Like, mind you, we had no contact other than a few like snap text typing things where he typed and never sent
And you never
anything.
respond, obviously.
And I never responded. So I checked the Hulu account and he was watching his favorite show under my profile. Like, at least make a new profile. Like, that was just stupid. And obviously I was going to see it since the last thing that you watch on Hulu pops up. So I
You
was
were
like, what the heck
so
are you doing?
mad. You called
I was like,
me
are you
so
kidding me?
angry.
Yeah, it was really bad. Well, and I felt like it had been over 2 months since the breakup, and I was like, the balls on this kid to try to still use me to watch a show. Use my Hulu account. Like, not me. He's not using me. He's using my Hulu account, my family's Hulu
Wait.
account, my dad, my mom. Like, everyone watches stuff
And the
on
story
this.
gets even better. A week later, He did it again.
I know. Okay, so he did it again. Bigger balls. Like, I'll give him the credit if this is like good for him. But a week after the Hulu thing, I got the same notification that he logged into my Netflix account. State, town, college, and he was watching a movie.
He was.
Yep. And I will say, listen, I wouldn't say funny, but like, I mean, I called you and I said it wasn't hilarious, but like, I just, in that moment, I really saw him for the user that he was. And honestly, in a way, those two incidents kind of helped me move
Oh, I
on
feel like that
because
was like you were already
it was
better
the
and had moved
changing
on, but
point.
that was like a
It was the
it
flip in,
was.
like, the book, like, I was ready, I was done, and I was very smart the second time more than the Hulu time, but I waited because 'cause I'm just obviously, this is what I have to do, but I waited until there were 10 minutes left in the movie that he was watching, and I logged him out and changed the password. Hee
Well
hee.
played, sweetheart. Now
Thank
that
you.
is healing.
So, ha! Yeah, boom, there you
What
go.
other things have you
That's my
Okay. All
revenge.
right, moving on. What other things have you done to heal yourself that might help someone
Okay.
else?
I mean, you didn't do this, but I did go to therapy right
Yep.
away. I really worked on starting to reevaluate what I wanted to change about myself and my life. And I think I wasn't necessarily focused as much on what was best for him and more focused on
Yep.
me. And I was going to the gym more and I was cooking, and that I realized that was so good for my mental health. And I just stopped allowing people to access me if they weren't healthy for me or if they caused me anxiety and didn't make me feel any better about
Well, and
myself.
I hold on.
And
I think you did a lot of soul
yes,
searching about who you became in that relationship. And
yes.
some of the qualities of who you became weren't who you wanted to be.
I don't know. I feel like you have to do a lot of soul searching if you want to move on. I admit it, and I'll say it to everyone, but, like, I chose him. I chose him, like, I chose to stay in this relationship, and I chose to go back over and over again, and I think part of healing was looking at myself to understand maybe why I made those decisions and why I allowed myself to stay in relationships like that and become a version of myself that I didn't wanna be, and I will never do that again.
So for those listeners that are just starting the healing process, right? Or
Mhm.
they're completely heartbroken. They can't eat, they can't get out of bed. You remember these moments. They think they're never going to survive.
Oh, yeah.
They've lost the love of their life. What do you tell them?
Another hard truth, another straight up honesty from me, but somebody that breaks your heart, somebody that blindsides you, somebody that makes you not feel good enough, cheats on you, lies to you, or disrespects your boundaries in any way cannot be the love of your life. And I'm sorry, no matter how much you love them, that is not somebody that is the love of your life and will be with you forever.
Can I add something? I think that
Yes.
trying harder to be what you think they want you to be or need you to be never works. And I think sometimes when people break up with other people, they feel like if I just became more of this that he wants, then it will work. And then you become not the real
Maybe I'd be more if I
authentic.
was more
Yeah.
fun, if I did this.
And I
Yeah.
think you need to always be the real authentic version of you. And if they don't love that version of you, they're not right for you.
I do also, I mean, very, 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 very true. But I do want to say to anyone out there that is struggling, I get it. And I feel you. And I hate being the stereotypical, this is so basic, but I'm a year out, over a year out, and you're gonna be
You're going to
okay.
be okay.
You're gonna be okay. You just have to really make the conscious decision to move forward and do it on your own
It's a
and
choice.
put the work in. It's a choice, or you are not gonna be able to do it. You have to choose to do
Yes. Okay. So to get a little fun in here,
it.
sometimes part of
Okay.
healing can involve a little bit of healthy revenge.
Oh,
What can you think of anything that
was
you
it
and your
all
friends
healthy?
did that, was like a little like a story you can tell, obviously?
Let me think of an appropriate one. Okay. This is actually funny. Should we be okay if I say this? Yeah, okay. So during one of the breakups, one of my friends ended up creating a private story on Snapchat, and the only people that were on this private story were my ex, his friends, and like us girls. And she ended up just like posting things that we knew would piss him off, like us going to a party with guys he knew, or me wearing a sexy top that like he thought was too sexy. Mind you, that is the stupidest thing ever, and every single girl should wear exactly what they want to. And if their boyfriend doesn't support it, then that's not a good relationship. Or me in like a car getting ice cream with a guy he didn't like. There were just a lot of fun things. Obviously, very stupid stuff, but it was like very fun in the moment and got my mind off of
Yes,
things.
which is what friends try to do for each other. And I
Yes.
remember there was a night where there was like a bunch of trash McDonald's thrown on his
Oh,
lawn and you had a mental breakdown.
okay, first of all, exposed, but like, yes, they did not even tell me. I just got pictures sent of like the trash all over his lawn, and it was just like trying to make me smile. And obviously, I was so mad, and I was like, he's gonna know it was me or like
And
think
it
it was
wasn't.
me, and he'll never want to get back together with me. First of all, how pathetic is that? Like, I didn't.
It's
Why would
not
I care if he
pathetic,
wanted to
honey.
get back together with me? But the whole thing was funny, and they made me laugh, so it was good.
It's not pathetic, Ella. You were in love with him. That's just what you do.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know better, but I don't know. I know better now.
Okay, so since we're giving advice about healing, I think it's also important to talk about reclaiming places for yourself because that's something that you learned in therapy and you think was important for you. And you taught me
Yes,
because
like
I
a
never did that.
transition object, like, we had talked about that in one of our previous episodes, I think. Right before I left for Maryland, I went back to this park, which was a place that we used to go to just have serious talks and sometimes get back together, and it was a very sentimental spot to me, and so right before college, I sat under what used to be our tree and our talking space, and I just ate a pizza by myself, and I reclaimed it as my own, and it was freaking awesome, and I've realized I can make a lot of happy new memories in some of the places that I've cried before.
That's awesome, Elle.
Felt really good, it
I
was
don't think you've ever
nice.
said that to me.
Well, I don't think you knew, and then I came back and I was like, "Yeah, I was at
But that's
the
I
park,"
like the
and
end
you were
part.
like,
I like
"What?"
that you said
Yeah.
making new memories in the places that you cried.
In a way, like, I sat there when I was by myself, and I was eating my pizza, and I had, like, a few tears, and I was like, "Okay, like, this is my real moment of, like, reclaiming this as my
I love
own,"
that.
and it felt
I
awesome.
love that. Okay, so I
Thank
have to
you.
ask because it's about
Yes.
healing. What has dating looked like for you? People want to know.
All right, well, people don't get to know, okay? Honestly though, I have really spent at least the last year working on me and putting dating kind of on the back burner. I would rather be focusing on my relationships and strengthening those with my girlfriends and just connecting with my amazing guy friends who have had my back. And obviously, we started chasing red flags. So that's been a big
You've
focus
been
too.
very busy. And you had a great
Yes.
summer internship.
Yes. I did. And I mean, not having to do with my internship, but I just think, especially over this summer before coming back to school, I've just really learned that self love and being confident in yourself is way more important than seeking validation from somebody else.
Okay, that's great. And I totally agree and important. But let's be
Yeah.
honest, it's been over a year and you have had your dating moments.
All right. Like, yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. I have had my dating moments, but I would say that I am taking it slow.
Good.
I just really want to be. I mean, I get anxious, like, this stuff makes me scared, like, I just wanna get back to the happy version of myself who's confident before I completely, like, put myself back out there.
Is she back?
I would say she's, like, 99.9% there.
So for
So I'd say
I would
yes.
say yes. So for anyone that wants to know, including me, what is your love language?
I would say my love language is say what you mean, follow up, and never, ever, ever make me doubt how you feel about me.
That should be everyone's love language. I love that
Actions. I
so
need
much.
that.
Actions.
Follow through,
Follow through.
actions. Show me.
So what are you so excited about this year? Like what's upcoming that you're excited about?
Mm. I don't know. I think I'm really excited about the possibilities ahead, especially now that I'm in a very happy and healthy place. I think it feels really good to know that I'm helping others get through these tough times that they're facing so they can come out on the other side just like me. And I know that a lot of people are struggling and sometimes they just like need somebody outside of their everyday circle to remind them that there is light after all of the darkness. And if they can't see it now, there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm telling you from somebody that was stuck in darkness, you'll find it.
I love that, Ella. I love that,
Thank you.
honey. So if you're listening and going through a breakup or thinking of breaking up with someone or struggling, remember, take things one day at a time. We're here for you. And just always remember that you're not alone.
Love it. And you're never alone. And I will say before we go, we always love to do our red flags and
Ooh,
green
okay.
flags of the week because it's been our new tradition for season 2. And we started doing this now that I am away at school. And so we hope it's going to like catch everyone up and on our weeks. And we hope it inspires you to kind of reflect on your day or your week and really think of the positives and then what you want to work on and move on.
Okay.
From.
So Ella,
Yeah.
what are yours? Let's start with your red flag. What is your red flag?
I'm having a hard time in my classes, not like with the stuff that we're doing, but more time management. I'm taking 5 classes, and in 4 out of the 5 classes, I have projects that are due this week. So I'm very stressed about
Big
that.
week.
Big
Okay.
week. I would say green
Yeah.
flag wise, my roommate and I are really big into cooking and chefing, and we made buffalo chicken dip last
buffalo chicken
night.
dip.
Homemade buffalo chicken dip. The recipe is so good. If you actually want it, like DM us. I swear we'll send it, and I'll give the credit to my roommate. Her dad makes like little specific notes on like what to change because they've like done a lot of trial and error. But it's the best
So you're
dip I've
offering
ever
to
had in my
share it with
entire
everyone.
life.
Okay.
Yes, so
okay,
good.
you heard it here.
Yep. All right, Mom, what's yours?
As I mentioned earlier, my red flag is that I am having trouble seeing because I had my eyes dilated today.
Dilated.
So if I look really teary for anyone watching, that is why.
Just tell them you were crying.
Yes, no. So my eyes are definitely a little blurry and teary today, and that is definitely my red flag. My green flag, which is weird because you just said a cooking one, is that I made the best chopped salad. Like, you know how I chop all the vegetables up super small?
Oh, yeah,
I
I
used
love
hearts of
it.
palm. I put like everything I love in it, and I'm starving. So I am going to say goodbye to you in a second and go eat my chopped salad for dinner.
You want to bring it or send it over to me at
No,
Maryland?
but
Because
I
I
have a
miss your
feeling that
chopped
you're doing
salads.
just fine in the cooking department.
Well, that's today's episode, and we hope that everyone listening knows that no matter who you are, you officially have a friend in us. And if you are going through a breakup or you need a friend or a listening ear, don't hesitate to reach out. We are always here, and trust me, we will be able to help you because we've been through it.
And if you are a parent and your kid is struggling and you feel like you need some support, I am here as well. So we'll be back next week with a new episode.
In the meantime, keep being real, keep being you, and know that we've got your back. If you have any thoughts, questions, or just want to say hi, we would love to hear from you. Your support means everything to us. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Chasing Red Flags Official and on Facebook and YouTube at Chasing Red Flags. And if you want to share your story, ask a question, or pick up some Chasing Red Flags merch, go to chasingredflags.com. The Chasing Red Flags podcast is produced by Jay Del Turco. We are new in this space, so if you enjoyed what you're hearing, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or add a comment and like on our YouTube channel.